work permit, work authorization is important for asylum applicants because the asylum application can be pending for a long time. So when you can apply for work permit, when you can begin working in the United States are important because the asylum applicants will most likely need to be able to earn money to be able to sustain themselves and their families during the pendency of their case. The asylum application can be pending for many years, and for a long time the asylum applicant will need to be able to work, but they're still not in the status of asylum or permanent residence in the US, and that's why the work permit is important for them. Under the regulations, you can apply for work permit if your asylum application has been pending for 180 days more, or more. That means after 180 days from the time of your application has been received by the USCIS, you are eligible for work permit, the actual card which would enable you to be employed in the US. Now you can apply for the work permit 30 days before the eligibility. So that means you can file the application for the work permit 150 days from the time your asylum application has been received. That unless if you caused any delays in the process. So what does that mean? If you caused any delays, let's say if the asylum office, USCIS, scheduled an interview in your asylum case and you didn't show up, or you had to ask to reschedule the interview, or if in the immigration court you or your attorney asked to delay the process and asked, or you moved to another state and that's why your asylum case was delayed because you caused it to be delayed, then your work permit eligibility will be stopped. It's also called asylum clock will be stopped, and until that delay is gone. That means they actually schedule your interview. So you're eligible for work permit 180 days from the time of your asylum application has been received. You can apply 30 days before your eligibility. That means 150 days from the time your asylum application was received. Now, what if you do cause the delay? Or what if you do, and then your asylum application has been pending for a long time, your asylum clock stopped, and you're not eligible for work permit? What if this happens, and what if you begin working without the actual card, the work permit? What will happen? You will not be punished in terms of asylum eligibility if you do work without authorization. Now, that's not to say that anyone would recommend to work without authorization in violation of the law. However, your asylum is not going to be denied because you worked without authorization, even if you worked at any point, even before filing for asylum, or during the pendency of the asylum case, even before 150 or 180 days from the time of application. So if you do work without authorization, you must also disclose this information to the asylum officer at the asylum interview, because when you filed your asylum application, there was a question about your employment history. And in the beginning of the asylum interview, the officer will go through your application and verify that all the information entered in the application is still correct and nothing had changed or nothing needs to be updated. So not disclosing that you have been employed between the time you filed the application and now would cause problems with determining credibility of your testimony. Then you may be found, your testimony may be found as not credible, and you may actually be found as presenting intentional misrepresentation or intentionally misleading information to the immigration office, which could also be cause for bar for asylum. So, or for denial of your asylum case. So it's very important if you do work without authorization, whether you work for cash, whether you get paid and you get W-2, you file taxes or not. You should be filing taxes, but that's another subject. That's in this context, whether you file or not, you have to disclose that you have been employed, whether with authorization or not. And disclosing so will not cause the denial. It's not basis for the denial of your asylum application. Not disclosing could be basis for the denial of your asylum application, could be basis for the lack of credibility of your testimony. So again, 180 days from the time of application, it's very important not to cause any delays, and you should know that if you do cause any delays, you would not receive, your eligibility for the work permit will be delayed, and you may not have the work permit even until the interview or after the decision is made. And if you do work without authorization, you should disclose it.